Want the secret on how to get on a long semen retention streak? Well then, this video is for you, because I'm going to share my perspective, my strategy really, on how I've gotten to what I'm on today, which is 275 days on this semen retention streak. I just broke 9 months, and I've got a few tips, tricks, strategies that I've used to get this far. And my goal is to hit 365 days in the next 3 months, which I absolutely will do. So let's dive into it, gang. The first one is this. You have to know what you actually want out of this, guys. And it's almost like you need a level of conviction to do something that is considered extreme. You need a high level of conviction. What does that mean? If you look at anybody, specifically any man in the world today, who has accomplished something stupidly impressive, what was his level of conviction? If you hear his podcast journey, if he shares his back end story of the years spent before the thing actually worked, why didn't he give up? Because he had a stupid level of conviction that no matter what other people said, no matter what the external experience around him was saying back to him, he's like, no, I'm all in on this thing. And I had spent years, guys, just using semen retention on and off to get shit that I wanted, to get on a long streak, use it to get stuff, on and off. Finally, I had enough shit happen in my life. I hit rock bottom hard enough and drug there long enough. I was like, no, I will do anything at this point to not be here. So at that point, I wouldn't even call that necessarily conviction, but I had such clarity on the reasons for why I was going to do it. So if I were you, one of the first things I would do is write down on a piece of paper everything in your life that you're not satisfied with. Get so clear on everything. It's what is not working that needs to change? Guys, I'm talking everything. It can be self-image. It can be job, career, money, relationships, sex, just female attraction. Get into whatever you want. It's are you satisfied with everything? If not, write it down and then flip that piece of paper over, and now write down everything that you actually want. The flip side of it. Write down all the stuff that you actually want out of life. Your dream life, your dream career, your dream woman, your relationships, dream money, dream experiences, all of the stuff. What does that feel like? Close your eyes, sit with what that would feel like being that version of yourself if you started to show up like that version of you. And then write down, how does that feel? Write a sentence down. How does it feel to be that version of you? And then that other side of the paper where you're talking about everything that's not going right, write down what that feels like and how excited you are to spend the next 1, 3, 5, 7 years being that guy still. What's that going to feel like? So that right there, guys, is going to build clarity, because when the urges come up, when the opportunities come up, when you start getting attention from women after 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, you're going to get opportunities to release this energy, break the streak, and start over. It's just going to happen. There's going to be temptations. There's going to be urges, whatever. There's going to be maybe full moons or new moons that you're reacting to. Who knows? But the only thing that's going to get you through that part of the journey is being so clear on what you actually desire out of your life, and being so clear on where you're currently at. And it's like you have a GPS, and because you know where you're at and you know where you're headed now, you can plug in those coordinates, that address, and you actually have a clear path, and you actually start to see how long it might actually take to get there. And that, having a path, that is going to help you push through the hardest parts of this journey. So that's the first thing, really, guys. Get so crystal clear on that. The second thing, conviction. And I was talking about that earlier. Let's jump back into it. You need to increase your level of conviction. What is conviction? Conviction is simply this knowingness in your beingness that, no, this is legit. I know where I stand on this, and I'm all in on this thing. I'm going to bet on myself with this. I'm going to bet on this. In the stock like investment community, we call it this process of like when you don't have that level of conviction, we call it borrowing conviction. So if I'm in a community, which I am, of a guy who is a baller investor, and I like absolutely look up to him and trust him, and he's got the journey, the roadmap, the proof of what he's accomplished in his life, it's like, oh no, he does it. He knows what he's doing. He eats, sleeps, breathes, lives for these investments. So sometimes investments happen to fall into my lap where I'm like, okay, I don't know much about this company yet, and I've done a little bit of research. I'm not fully convicted, so I'm going to borrow conviction, and I'm going to make an investment here and get started with this. But here's the thing, borrowing conviction, something I've learned is it only gets you so far, because there comes a point where it's like, okay, I'm gonna borrow conviction, so I'm gonna put a couple $1,000s into this investment. Oh, okay, maybe I'll put like $4,000 or $5,000. Maybe I'll put like $8,000. Like, but there's gonna come a point where it's borrowed conviction. If I'm not convicted on it, I'm not gonna add more to that position. And the life-changing things, the life-changing returns and opportunities happen when you go big into stuff that you are fully convicted on, and you know the result that's going to happen from it because you've done your homework, done your research, you're educated, you are fully convicted on that thing wisely, right? Doing it with wisdom. But he'll go make an investment that he's fully convicted on that's like 10, 20, 30x what some of my biggest investments will be. And it's like, he's able to do that because he is so in the weeds with his like in depth with these companies that his conviction is through the roof, and because of that he wins bigger. You feel me? Here's how this translates to semen retention, guys. They're early on this streak, because I'm on 275 days right now. Early on in this streak, I decided that I was just going to consume all the semen retention videos and start to put together a mental model, a map of what I believe actually happens from this practice, physically, energetically, spiritually. I spent a long time watching everybody's videos, consuming everybody's content, learning, building my own models, thinking about it, processing it. And I did that as I got started. So like I started my journey, and for the first 30, 40, 50, 60 days, I just really focused in on that and binged on that. And I was like, holy crap, my conviction started to get so high and so high, so high, so high. Finally, I was like, yeah, okay, this is gonna be a long streak. And because of that, I just kept going on the streak. I was like, oh, 30 turned into 45, turned into 60, turned into 90, turned into 180, here we are. But my conviction is high enough that that wasn't a difficult thing. It's like, no, I'm fully convinced that this is the right move for me. Some of you aren't there yet, and the reason that you keep hopping back and forth from short semen retention streak to medium to short, back to zero to whatever you like, hip hop, you like hopscotch your way back and forth because your conviction clearly isn't there yet. You haven't done your research. As if you fully are convinced on what this is, the power of this practice, the benefits, you will lock the F in. I'm telling you, it is that simple. If you are fully convinced, you will lock the F in. You will make the investment. You will put way more into this, into investing into this practice. Why? Because you know the outcome. You know what you're about to get out of this. You got to work on your conviction. So far, two things. You got to get locked in on the shit in your life that you're not happy with. Write that down. And where you actually want to get to, what you actually want in life, right? Write that down. Build your conviction. Education, watching videos, consuming this content, really thinking about it, processing it, talking through it, doing your own research, reading books, y'all. I buy books about semen retention. Can you believe that? I have a book that I went through every chapter as content and read through the chapters and offered my perspective called Semen Retention Miracle. Go look in my playlist section. You'll see that it's under the books that I've read through. Go watch all of that. Absorb that information. Absorb that. Let it build your conviction. That's 2. Number 3, let's set some expectations. You need to come into this with expectations. Is it going to be the easiest thing you've ever done? No. Is it going to be easy at all? Probably not. Is it going to be wildly uncomfortable? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's going to be wildly uncomfortable, gang. You're going to stretch yourself. You're going to push yourself in ways that you have not experienced before. It's going to be the hardest thing you've probably ever done. No pun intended. Still true. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but it's going to be the most fulfilling and the most transformative thing that you've ever done. So set your expectations. When it gets difficult, are you going to fold? Oh, it's too difficult. I wasn't expecting this. Oh, the internal work is too difficult. I thought it was all about the physical stuff, but it turns out it's all about the internal stuff. So set expectations. And maybe that leads me into a 4th here, guys, is that semen retention, it is disguised as physical benefits. It is disguised as this thing as like, oh, if I do this, I get all this physical stuff, and that's awesome. That is the bait. That is the way that it's set up to pull men in, but then it turns into an internal journey, internal programming, rewiring, changing, healing. And that is the most difficult thing. And here's the thing, guys. Most men will relapse because of the internal pressure is too great. It is too intense. It is too much for them to handle, to sit with, and they will go release to numb that. That is historically what I've done, and I've heard and seen it from other guys as well. So be aware of that. It's actually an internal journey, and I found that really after 90 days is where that switch flipped, and it became super duper duper focused on the internal and transforming that version of me. And here's a secret, guys: the external mirrors the internal. So like we start addressing this stuff, we start fixing and healing ourselves internally, stuff starts to change around us. And here's one more piece of wisdom for you to get on a long streak. Boredom is going to be your enemy. Boredom is the enemy. Don't let yourself get bored. Put this energy into working out, into staying active, starting a business, to whatever, things that give you life back, things that give you longevity long-term back into your life. Pour it and invest this energy back into those things. But don't let yourself get bored, because that old programming, that old wiring, while you're undoing all that, while you're unraveling all that, it's still going to fight back every now and then. It's still going to want to hit. It's still going to want you to start to lean back into that and slowly pull you back in. Right? The body is being the master of the mind at that point. Like you might logically say, oh yeah, I want to go on a long streak, but I'm telling you, the body is addicted to how you've trained it. It's going to try to pull you back in. So boredom is the enemy, guys, especially early on while you're building these new habits. So really, really lock in on that. Keep yourself busy. Aim this energy, what we call transmuting this energy, at other things, just pouring it into other things that will serve you really, really well. And let's throw in a bonus one, guys. Other stuff that's really helpful: meditating. That's been a big practice for me. Dr. Joe's work that helps me work through a lot, sit with this energy, visualization, just like feeling that new version of myself. That's been really helpful. Prayer, meditation, those go hand in hand. Acupuncture is huge for helping to work through the internal blocks. I've done 12 sessions now in the last almost 2 months, and I just keep locking in on doing that and incorporating that into the journey. So that's a cheat code if you want to get on a long streak. If you need some help working through the emotions and all the internal chaos that kind of comes up from semen retention, no pun intended, coming up, you're going to want to look into something like that too. So guys, I just dropped you some game here. This is quite literally how I've gotten to 275 days on this semen retention streak, and kind of just really turned it into a lifestyle, and I'm going to hit 365 days in 3 months. So hopefully you got some value out of this. Peace, love, abundance. Catch you later.